And I was standing and like lining up to get on the plane with my group, and somebody behind me was like, "Are you Tula Pink?" And I was like, "Seriously?" She goes, "Well, I wasn't sure, but then you started talking and I listen to that voice every Tuesday." And I was like, "Seriously?" And it was really funny because she goes, "Will you take a picture with me?" Like, this does not happen very often. This is like super rare. And this one was real random. Like, I'm on the other side of the planet, right? And she's taking a picture of me, and then some guy standing in the line next to us, because we were lined up in our zones or whatever, was like, "Who is that?" And he goes, "I don't know, probably some dumb internet celebrity." And I looked over at him, I'm like, "You're correct."
You're listening to Fussy Cutters Club podcast, a show that gives you permission to cut into the good fabric so you can make quilts you love. And now your host, who believes it's not a crime to love using novelty fabrics, Ange Wilson.
Hello, Fussy Cutters. Welcome back. It's been a heartbeat or two since podcast episodes, and I apologise for that. There's been a lot of changes in my life, and this will sound quite weird, and I hope it's a long episode today, and I hope you want to stick through it and listen to it, because this interview was a catalyst for major change in my life, and I'm very grateful for everything that transpired both during this interview and after this interview, because it helped me to solidify some things that I'd been thinking about in terms of my own business journey, and what I was doing in the world and how I was interacting with the world and what I wanted out of it. That sounds all very heavy for what is essentially a very lovely conversation about fabric with a very wonderful and talented person, generous person, but it was one of those things, sometimes a little, what do they say about an oyster? A grain of sand gets into an oyster and it forms a pearl. And I think this was my grain of sand. And so I'm very grateful for this. And it's taken me a while to get into a position where I could sit down and listen to it again and go through it and package it in a way that I think did it justice. And like I said, I am very mindful that the person gave up their time to do this. I don't know why I'm talking about them like they're going to be a secret reveal. The name is in the episode. In this episode, we talk to the one, the only Tula Pink. And you know, like we joke about it and everything. And I know that Tula is a human and she is just a person. But for me personally, her work and her journey has been such a joy to witness and to see from the sidelines, or to be a participant in a commercial sense. And so it was really lovely to be able to talk to her about that process. And we focus primarily on her business and her artistic discipline and things like that, because that was when I first started thinking about it, what was really an interest to me. However, in hindsight, I mean, we have the conversation that we had because that's what conversation needed to be had at that point in time. If I could do another conversation, I think I'd want to talk to her like she was a quilter, because she is a quilter. And I think a lot of times we conflate the persona and the brand with the actual person. And I know that I do, definitely. And I'm guilty of it in this interview. And it would have been really nice to talk to her about what she is excited about in terms of her quilting and how she approaches the actual quilt process and quilts she's made, and less about the fabric that she's designed. But I mean, it influences the quilt she's made, obviously. And again, that's probably reflective of the point in time that I'm recording this part of the interview. And she's just done a 20-year retrospective display at the Iowa Quilt Museum, which, if I had the ability to transport myself a la Star Trek, I would have gone and checked it out, because it just looks amazing. And that is such a gift to the quilting community that she has kept all of those pieces and the process behind it, and then is so happy to share it with people. And, you know, it is so reflective of the way that they, her and Cameron and her team approach their business, and the way she approaches her craft and the excitement that she has for it. And it's a real joy and blessing. And I know that sounds really naff, but you know what? Screw it. We could all do with some naff at the moment. It is at its core about the joy and sharing and making and connecting over this thing that we all love. So I'm going to stop prattling now. The conversation is really long, and quite frankly, if she'd let me, I would have stayed for ages more, and our internet dropped out at the end, and that's why the conversation doesn't really wrap up as such. It just kind of ends. But the internet probably intervened and went, you guys have been talking for over 2.5 hours now. It's time to say goodbye. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you really appreciate the honesty, the candidness, the humility, and really get to bask in the glow of someone who's good at what they do, loves what they do, and approaches life from a service point of view, because that is a real rarity in this day and age. And she serves not because there's a financial gain. That's just a byproduct of that service. That service is part of, I think, who she is. And that's what makes her so good. That's what drives both her and Cameron. And I think it's a really refreshing take in this day and age about the fact that it is about each other. And it was really lovely. So, yeah, before I start crying and going on about how the universe is wonderful and moon joy and all of that sort of stuff, let's get chatting. Hi, Tula. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming along. I will get this out of the way up front. As an Australian, I say Tula, but is it Tula?
Tula. I mean, Tula. To me, it's all just accent. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Like, as long as you're getting it in the vicinity and not calling me Tulip or Tallulah or whatever, like, I'm generally pretty chill with it.
Because I spent a good 30 minutes this morning practicing and saying to my husband, does this one sound right? And he'd be like, what are you freaking out about? I'm like, well, I don't want to. So for those that don't know you,
yes,
too bad. They've been living under a rock because, quite frankly,
I know,
how
I
could
feel
you
so
not
bad
know?
for them.
Yeah. But I think of you as an artist first, and then a business person, and then a quilter.
Yeah.
But do you see it in a different order, or am I missing something?
No, I think that's probably pretty accurate. I have funny feelings about the word artist. I feel like it sounds inaccessible, like it's some magical thing that happens.
Yeah.
So I tend to go with the word designer. That none of this matters. You know, this is all like totally unimportant. But like, I tend to think of myself more as an illustrator.
Yep.
There's something about being an illustrator to me that feels more utilitarian and feels more like it's a craft rather than an art, which I prefer craft over art. So it's like a honing of skills and a refining of skills rather than some like mystical talent bestowed upon you on birth. That's not what this is. This is practice.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point, because oftentimes, I don't know about you, but in my experience, when you meet a group of quilters, there's that self-consciousness about their skill set, and they're like, my points don't match, and I don't know which fabrics to pick, and I don't know it, and there's a whole litany of things that they think they're doing wrong, and they're like, how do I fix that? And my answer is always, it's practice. It's 10,000 hours.
That's all it is. It's all practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's a reason there isn't a university degree in patchwork, because it's not like that. It's just time. You know, it's just time and doing something. It's lining up a triangle so many times that you know where it's going to fall after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time. That's it. It's just time and practice.
But it is an element, because I think skill sets are a scale, and there are some people who naturally will get that alignment first go. And I think for your skill set, you have obviously been drawn to drawing and illustrating from a young age, and you were lucky enough to find that passion at a young age. And so you've
right away
perfected it and honed it over that time. And I think patchwork is the same thing. And one of the great things about patchwork is you can come to it at any time and any age and
totally
be great at it. But with so you started as an illustrator and a drawing was your thing, your jam. So I guess it is such an unusual thing to get into. And I think we take for granted how much design and surface pattern design is just in our lives every day.
Oh, everywhere.
But this is your 50th collection has just landed in the stores, which is huge. Yeah. And so obviously you had an affinity for it. Did you ever think about anything else other than, or was this always the goal, or did you kind of go, oh, I think I can go into that, and so?
It was more of I think I can go into that. I went to school, I went to Otis College of Art and Design in Los Angeles to be a graphic designer. And I worked at the Gene Autry Museum of Western Heritage as an exhibit designer. Then I went and worked in the music industry for several years, designing merchandise and albums and, all music industry stuff, music related things. And I was a quilter on the side.
Yeah.
I've been a quilter. I'm a first generation quilter, and I've been quilting since I was about 12. I don't know. I stumbled into it, loved it. And and I've told this story before, but I think it's relevant to my trajectory, and these two people still are like a big part of my story and why and how I do what I do. But I just walked into a quilt shop one day. It was a great quilt shop called Treasure Hunt in Carpinteria, California. I think it's called Roxanne's now, but they had the brand new Kaffe Fassett collection and the brand new Amy Butler collection. And it was the first time I ever saw fabric, and I thought, wait, a human being designed this. Because fabric up until then, a lot of the fabric I had seen was mostly reproduction. So it was relatively anonymous. And really before them, it was you bought Moda fabric or Free Spirit fabric, or, you bought the fabric brand. You weren't necessarily buying a designer. And those two were such standouts and kind of came out of nowhere that it was such an artist statement. Like, a person had to be behind this. It was too well curated. It was too specific a point of view. The artwork was super original. And that was the first time I'd ever actually thought about the fact that a person was designing this stuff, like an individual. And then I was like, well, wait, I draw. I'm a designer. Like, maybe I can do this. And so it was a total fluke, really.
But you're now in the same stable. I love that word, a stable. I've just imagined all you designers all lined up, just waiting to get out, as Kaffe, which is a lovely close of the loop.
We're friends now, which is it's still super crazy to me.
Yeah.
And I still have a bit of that hero worship for him. Like, because he's kind of the one that drew me into this. And, he's an artist with a capital A and is very like I'm really regimented and strategic and very type A and like methodical. Like, I'm more of like an engineer that can draw. He's an artist, like with a capital A. I'm using a lot of hand gestures right now, but like full on artist, like whimsical, both in real life and professionally. And so I still am in awe of him on a pretty daily basis.
So it's interesting that you identify Kaffe as an artist with a capital A, but you shy away from the use of that word for yourself.
My process is different. I think it's a processing. It's a different processing. Like, I find more personal satisfaction and value in honing my craft and getting better at things and refinement, which is really kind of it's a drudge, but I like that. It's the same reason I love English paper piecing and hand applique. Like, tedium is where I thrive, right? Yeah. So like, the more sort of like complicated and detailed and sort of painstaking something is, the more I love it. Yeah. So yes, while I am an illustrator and while my work is deeply creative, it's not, well, it is whimsical, but it's not my whimsy that I'm serving.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the greater sort of audience that I'm serving. So it's really about people outside of me, where I think art is very much about the artist itself. And I don't really view my work that way.
That's really interesting. And I think, I will be thinking about it much later and while I stand in front of the fabric and look at stuff differently. Because I think, like, I would call Tiger Woods on the golf course an artist. But if you look at Tiger, he has the same things that you've just articulated, where he likes the practice, he likes the repetition, he likes and so you go, okay, so they're just different outworkings. But I think the thing where you go, it's about the audience I serve, not about expressing who I am and the point of view that I have overrides that. And I think that's an interesting differentiation between the two.
Well, I'm running a business.
Yes.
It's about a business. I mean, and I'm not afraid to say that or shy about saying that. Like, I think that's an important part of what I do. And it's the part that largely goes unseen, but I'm running a service. I'm serving people. I'm serving them inspiration and, you know, like motivation and creativity. And it's my job to sort of amplify that voice. I mean, that's the way I see it. And I think there's two types of people. I think there's people who, and I don't think one is better than the other, and both are incredibly valid and important to have. But there's certain people that just, like, creativity just like seeps out of their pores. It's so deeply a part of who they are that you couldn't separate it for them. And then there's people who are equally as good at what they do, but through practice. And I see myself as more of that type of person. I'm good at what I do because I work at it every day. And I think Cave was probably born doing whatever he does.
Oh yeah, he came
it's a
out
different
of
thing, and one's not better than the other. Like, it's
no,
not.
And we need both. Like, we
absolutely need both. We absolutely need both.
I like to think that Cave popped out and his umbilical cord was all bright colours and I
am absolutely positive it was. Yes.
But then it's really interesting because I think the thing that I've always, and I apologise because this is going to be a little bit fangirl at this moment, but the thing that I've always loved about your brand and your work and who you represent yourself to be in this space is that you have never apologized for it being a business, and you have never, ever hidden the fact that first and foremost you are running a business and a service business, as you've said. And I think there's no higher calling than to serve others through the gifts that you've got. But it's an interesting dynamic because when we talk with other people, I always kind of go, to me, and I borrow a sports term, I hate professional sports, but my husband loves it, so I've seen too much of it.
Professional sports, so go for it.
To me, you are our GOAT. You are the greatest of all time.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
But it's not necessarily about your art, which is sublime. It's about the fact that you have taken an industry where women were, you know, we were the homemakers, and it was a craft, and at times it was looked down on and all of those sorts of things. And you've gone, no, this is a business. I run this as a business.
Absolutely.
We are strategic about what we do, because to me, looking on, you were the first person who kind of went, you know what? I make X amount of money from fabric, but if I bundle that and I do a collaboration with Benina and I do my own tools and you have packaged a lifestyle, a quilter's lifestyle around your brand. And to me, that was genius and smart. And you were the first. I like to look at it and go, I think you were the first who consciously went, I do this, then I do that, then I do this, then I do that, and it services the needs of my entire. You're the farm to table of quilting.
I'll take it.
And so I kind of go, that you are the blueprint that we should be following as people
this is the greatest conversation of my life. Like, I can just hire you to talk to me all the time.
Just ring me up anytime.
I really don't get this kind of validation from my brother, I will say.
Yeah.
Wait, he says hi, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk to Cam too. So if he's ever wanting to have a chat,
sure,
because you guys are
interesting. Nobody really like tags him, but he's my right hand. We do all of this together. He's super interested. Like his knowledge of the business of quilting is pretty intense.
And that's the thing that I think too is you've made you guys are siblings, so he's been there all the time. But you've made really good decisions in the people that you surround yourself with. And a lot of times it is that team effort. You guys have had a joint vision. And again, I'm going to fangirl a little bit, but when you were doing your studio reveal video and the two of you were talking, like he was obviously filming and you were talking to him and going, we've talked about this for years. This has been a shared goal that the two of us have had and we've worked towards. And I confess, I'm only a couple of years older than you, but I was like, I'm so proud of them. They've done because you have worked together, which is massive. As a person who has a brother, to not have killed him within the first 5 minutes. I
mean, I will say the first couple of years were rough, but it's beautiful now. I mean, our relationship on both sides, the work side and the personal side, is now 100 times better than I ever thought it could be.
Yeah.
Because we had to learn how to work together, not as brother and sister. Like, we can't be sitting in the meeting and I can't, like, punch him in the arm and go, shut up. Like, I can't do that, right? And so the respect that we had to learn for each other on the business side actually ended up bleeding into our personal relationship. And the way we speak to each other is totally different now after working together. I mean, the first couple of years were probably touch and go, but, it's an amazing relationship.
Yeah, and we've just moved into a situation where we have two houses on the one property and my parents live in one and we live in the other.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you now, I thought I had a really good relationship with my parents before we moved in here, but the rocky road of learning to live together as adults.
It changes everything.
It does, but it's a deeper, like, and I can say this 3 years in, it's a deeper relationship now and a deeper appreciation for that relationship than before we moved in. And so I kind of go, to me, I look at the magic that you and Cam have created together, and I think you can't have one without the other in this mix.
No.
You guys wouldn't be there, which is why I'm like, if Cam ever wants to chat, we're here.
I actually think he'd have some really interesting things to say. I mean, he's sort of a weird kind of life wizard, which I don't understand where it came from. But every once in a while, he'll just drop a gem on me that changes my life. Like a one-liner that I'm like, who even are you? I don't get this. Because he's younger than me by about 10 years. So we have a pretty significant age gap. And like one of my all-time favorite things he ever said to me, I was like freaking out about something. I'm the stressor. He's like the king of chill. Like nothing rattles him, you know? And I was freaking out about something, and he just like looks up from his desk with his backwards baseball cap, and he's just like, just because someone hands you pressure doesn't mean you have to take it. And I was
then
like,
goes back to typing.
And I was like, what? What do you mean I don't have to take it? Like, what is that? And it like completely changed my life. Like it was like, and he does that. He just like poops out these little gems and just drops them on you and then pieces out. And you're like, what just happened?
But that's good, right? Because you need that balance.
Absolutely.
That's why you guys work well together, is you need that balance.
It totally is. We're opposites in a lot of ways, but we have the same goals, which is really cool. And, the position he's in, I have to trust him so much because he sees everything before it happens. He sees everything in its most vulnerable state. Like he sees the sketches of a fabric collection. He sees me working out ideas. And these are all things that are like really vulnerable for me, right?
Yeah.
And so I have to have a lot of faith and trust in him to like allow myself to be that vulnerable while someone's in the room. Like it's difficult from a sort of creative perspective. That's when you're sort of the most vulnerable, is when you're working something out. Like, the greater quilting world at large only sees things after I figured them all out.
Yeah, and I think it's reflective in the fact that when you do your studio tour, you say, I'm going to put my work desk over in this corner.
Uh-huh.
The work desk isn't out in the middle of the floor where everyone can see you. You're tucked into your secret little corner where you've got that
I like
protection.
To be away. Yeah, that's funny that you picked up on that. I didn't even actually think about that. That was unconscious.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
subconscious. I guess I wasn't out cold when I thought that, but yes.
You might have been. You might have been asleep. But yeah.
Could have been.
But yeah, I think it's an interesting dynamic, and I often feel for Cam because I think it's so easy for people to go, oh, it's all Tula. It's all, she's done it. And you have, but it's also because of Cam that.
Absolutely. And, we had a conversation years ago where he told me, and I've always hung on to this because I think it's such an interesting sort of self-realization. But he said some people were born to be number one and some people were born to be number two. He goes, you were born to be number one. I was born to be number two. He goes, I'm a great second in command. And he is. But it takes a very specific type of personality to be that, right? To let somebody stand in front and get all the glory and all of that.
Or take all the bullets.
Take all the bullets too. Yeah. I mean, there's downsides to it. But to be that constant sort of support figure in the background, that's not an easy place to be.
No. That's why Bette Midler wrote a whole song about
it. Exactly. Yeah. But, just for him to identify that, early on, he's like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to, and I don't really want to be either. It's just it serves the job. But it is interesting. It is an interesting sort of dynamic between us that couldn't really have worked if we were two different people.
Yeah. And you both have grown together in your strengths. And I think, so I only started quilting, the kid turns 13 on Friday, so 13 years ago. And you guys, I remember seeing one of your early lives when Instagram Live was a thing. And it was obvious that you weren't, you said it yourself at the time, you weren't comfortable being in front of the camera.
No.
And I think the Tuesdays with Tula speak to the fact that you prioritize the business over self because you have worked your way through that uncomfortableness to get to a point where you will turn up on video, which is horrible for all of us.
Yeah. It's the worst.
I don't care who you are. It's horrible for everybody. And you turn up and you make that, you dominate in that space and you make it inviting and comfortable for the audience, and you invite us into
nice.
Literally invite us into your home. Yeah. And you and Cameron have that rapport with the audience and what you're doing and all of those sorts of things. And now you've transitioned from that space where you're uncomfortable to being more comfortable in it. And now others are emulating what you've done. And so you're leading. Yeah. And so you're leading the pack in that way. But I think, how do you, as someone who is uncomfortable with it, in that first live, I remember watching that and the comments that people were leaving were a mix of, you're the greatest, you're amazing, I love everything you do. And then they were really horrible. They were personal attacks. They were... Yeah. And I remember being mortified at the time and just, it hung with me for days afterwards. I was like, how does she do it? How does she put herself out there and take this abuse, literally, and bullying, and then she comes back for more? And now you're like, I think that's a talent. Is there a secret coping mechanism that you have? Because I can't imagine that that's gotten less as your star has risen.
The live that you're referring to was it was a weird one. That doesn't really happen so much. That was a one-time thing because somehow in the algorithm it got shipped wide.
Yeah.
So, because we were early to using that feature, so Instagram pushed it out. So all of those horrible, I know exactly what you're talking about. Those horrible comments were people that didn't know, I didn't know.
Yeah, they weren't your audience.
They weren't followers or anything. They were just internet trolls. that went away pretty quickly. And, sure, there are definitely people who don't like me, and that's totally fine. To be honest, like, it used to affect me more. It really doesn't affect me too much now. There's a point at which you get desensitized to it a little bit.
Which is horrible. Like, it's a horrible thing to say.
But it's also a realization, like, and this is like sort of a famous adage, but like, you can't take criticism from somebody you wouldn't take advice from.
Yeah, that's good.
And I sort of live by that. It's like, there's a handful of people in my life that I would take advice from, and they're really the only people that I will listen to criticism from, right?
Yep. Yeah,
other than that, I'm not super interested. And really, like, there was a lot of learning to balance, like, just the logic of one good comment weighing 90% less than one bad comment doesn't actually make any sense.
I know, right.
So there's a point at which my logic wouldn't let me interpret it that way anymore. It was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you wouldn't do that in any other area of your life. Like, you wouldn't have like 10 products that sell really well and one that's a dud, and then like shut down your whole business over it. Like, if you wouldn't do it in that sense, how are you going to do that here? And it comes with the territory too. When you get to a certain point, of visibility, like, there just becomes a point where you can't win everyone over. Like,
and you're not supposed to,
without being just nothing. Right. Yeah. So, I guess it's just like therapy, a lot of therapy. But also, like, when I'm doing those videos, I'm just talking to my brother. I'm not thinking about who's watching it. I've never once watched a single one of my videos. Cameron watches them. He goes over them. He edits them. And I don't watch them. I don't
Which
need
is
to.
Good. Yeah.
I mean, I know what I said. Like, I don't need to hear it again. They were my own thoughts. I know what I'm saying.
Which brings me to my next question. Because I know, sorry. But like, when the person who you have all of these questions for says, yes, all right, I'll sit down and talk to you, you want to get them all out. And like I said, to me, it's less about, like, I can talk to you about for days on end about how amazing the fabric is and the detail in it and how I love finding the little Easter eggs in there and it works for repeats and all of that sort of thing. But I think one of the biggest opportunities that we miss on a whole is that you have an incredible brain for business, a mind for business and a strategic mind, and you are making conscious decisions in an environment where it seems like some of the industry just wings it by the seat of their pants and goes, oh yeah, I'll do that. And so I think
we don't do anything by the seat of our pants.
No, and I was thinking about your electrician when you were walking through the studio and there was all the points and everything, and I was like, that poor guy probably turned up and you were like, I'll have a PowerPoint here, and this is here.
Yeah,
and
I did.
Yeah.
I actually, on the subfloor, I drew him out with a giant Sharpie.
Which is a dream for anybody, because you want someone who's clear with what they want. Like, it's worse when you're trying to guess what someone wants.
Yeah.
But you seem to be really responsive to your audience. And I think one of the things, if I could be so bold as to pick a word that I think sums you up so far in our conversation, it's service, right? You are all about serving others.
I know what I'm here for.
Yeah. And so it's really, I think, obvious in the products that you guys put out that you are responsive to what people want. You are about being that happy place for them, that you are conscious of the fact that they're spending hard-earned money on you and that you want them to get a good investment and you want them to, I hate this, spark joy when they touch stuff. And so the Deja Vu collections that you've released.
Yes.
Genius. And I loved that you prefaced it, because I imagine a lot of times when people do things, the first response is in response to somebody doing something is fear, because we all fear change, right? And we all want to protect what we've got. So when you guys started the Deja Vu collections and you went out and you consciously went to stores, we are not undercutting you. We are not trying to rip this out from you. The collectors, you recognized that you are like the baseball cards of fabric and that people collect.
Absolutely.
And so you were like, I want to protect that. Like, it was just such a well thought out idea, and then the execution of it. Is there a collection that you think, I wish I could go back knowing what I know now and redo the whole thing?
No, not really.
Because it all builds to where you are now?
I don't know. I think they're all valuable in their own way, like to get me where I've gone, or you know what I mean? I think they all sort of hold their place. Okay. Yeah, there is actually. There's one collection that I've never been fully satisfied with, and that's Nest.
Yep.
Because those weren't my colors.
Yep.
It actually also was a pivot collection. Oh, no, that one wasn't. But it wasn't exactly what I had set out to do. And it got sort of changed without my input. And it just became something that was I felt like really not really me. And so I think that of all my collections, that's probably the one. But I don't really want to go back and redo it. I think I've actually touched on a lot of it. Like, I think the birds from Spirit Animal are better birds than a Nest. I think and that collection had its time in the sun. Like, there was a whole episode of Monk that was decorated with that fabric collection. It was a championship egg eater who was also a murderer, and his whole house was decorated in it. So that was pretty fun. Like, it has its things, and it's not a terrible collection by any means, but I think the emotion behind it of feeling like it was sort of taken away from me and changed, like kind of just always left me a little bit like sour about it.
Yeah. But that's a good lesson, which you've then gone on through the years to build on, because you now have, I assume, 100% creative control of everything that you guys put out. So you found out from that experience what you needed, where your boundaries were.
To speak on that issue of control, yes, I do have creative control over what I do, but it doesn't mean I don't talk to the creative director and run my ideas by her, because I don't know everything. I'll never know everything, like, I think it's more, it's less something I've wrestled away from somebody else. Like, it's not something I've taken. Yeah. It's something I've earned. Right. Yeah. So I've earned that control by consistently making decisions that work. And honestly, when I wasn't having that control, it was perfectly valid that I didn't have that control. I was a baby designer. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know the market. I didn't know the industry. Like, of course I shouldn't be the person making the decisions, especially because the decisions I'm making as a fabric designer, I'm not paying for those decisions, right? Yeah. So like, I only get paid as a fabric designer on what's sold to shops. So if a line doesn't sell, Free Spirit's the one who paid for it. I'm not out anything but time. So like, they're putting their money where my mouth is, right? So if I don't have any experience and I don't have any like great base of knowledge to pull from, why should they put their money where my mouth is? Like, I had to earn that. And so as much as I didn't like the way some of the early collections turned out, they weren't exactly what I had in mind. I think the fact that they took that control and changed what I did to be completely fair. Yeah. Because I had to earn the right to sort of say, no, this is the way I want it. Yes. And that matters. Like, it's important that, like, I think one of the most dangerous things, maybe in any industry, but especially this one, is ego. When you get when you start thinking that you can do stuff just because your name is this, or you start like feeling like anytime you start to feel like you're more important than somebody else, you've lost. Yeah. Like, you've lost the whole, like, I can sit here and go, yeah, it's my name on everything. I'm the most important thing. But you know what? If Free Spirit doesn't manufacture my fabric, I have my name on nothing. And if people don't want to use my fabric, it doesn't matter. Like, if you really like lay it all out, I'm like second from the bottom in terms of importance. And I don't know who's below me, but somebody's got to be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like,
the dogs.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, really easy when people want to take your picture or have you sign something to start thinking a lot of yourself and thinking that you're real special. And the reality is not that. It just isn't. I mean, I would wager that the consumer, the quilter, is by far the most important person. The shop owner is the second most important person. Like, I could make you a totem of who's more important than me, and I would not be at the top.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I'm lucky because I work with my little brother, so I'm never really allowed to get too big for my pictures. I'll get shut down real fast if I start getting all like self-important and flipping my hair and stuff. That'll end real quick. But I think it's important. Like, so much about this is just like knowing where you stand. You know, it's like the people who actually like do the production packages for my fabric are the people who ensure that my fabric looks the way I want it to, you know, like that person is important. My creative director is crucial. She's my guide, you know, like, and she's steered me right so many times that I'll listen to anything she says. Like, I think when we stop listening, we get in trouble.
But I think that's why your business is the way it is, right? Because you have an appropriate hierarchy of service. And
I think it's important.
And it's something no one talks about. And I liked that, again, at the end of your studio video, you guys built this. We wouldn't have this if it wasn't for you guys.
Yeah, not at all.
And
because I was drawing long before and I didn't have that.
No. So in that feedback loop that you have with your consumer, what is the one thing that you get asked to put on fabric the most? Like, was it dogs, cats?
It was dogs and cats for a long time. Honestly, it's so vast now that I don't even think, like, I don't really, and I would like to think that it's because people trust me to surprise them, that I don't really get asked to put certain things on fabric that much anymore. I used to a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to do this. Oh, please do this. Oh, please do that. And now I feel like, I don't know, like a lot of it, like me and my audience, like we've been together so long now, a lot of us. Like, of course, there's new people all the time, but like, you know, next year will be my 20th year as a fabric designer. And I've been with a lot of these people for almost 20 years, you know, and a lot of the people that came later sort of went back. And so I feel like there's sort of like a trust a little bit.
Which, you know, again, like, you guys have
I can
earned.
tell you what to do, but I'd almost rather see like what you're going to throw at us.
Yeah. And so my next question is, and it's one that it amuses me every time you do a release, who comes up with the names?
Oh, okay. Well, it's sort of me. It's a lot my brother.
Yeah.
We tend to get in a big group and talk about it because all the artwork's really done. Naming things is the last thing we do. And it's literally my least favorite part. Just because it's like, I just want it to be called what it is. It's a frog fabric. Call it frog fabric, you know?
Yep.
Because that's what everybody calls it anyway, to be honest. Like, they're like, oh, the frog fabric, the octopus fabric, the unicorn fabric. Like, that's what they call it anyway. So why don't we just name it that? But no, we tend to get like really funny. We get a little loopy with it because, you know, we have to name each print, then each colorway of each print, then the collection itself. Like, there are quite a lot of names we have to come up with for every collection. But Cameron's really, really a wordsmith. He's really funny. And like, he plays on a lot of pop culture stuff. The things that I name tend to be like a little bit more esoteric. his names tend to be the more like pop culture, but then we have to like really weigh that because pop culture became such a minefield for a while.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, in Roar, I forgot the name of my own collection. In Roar, the print gift wrapped, which is the raptor. We really wanted to call that Chance the Raptor. You know, like Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, Chance the Rapper. Yeah.
But we were like, what if he like drives drunk and kills somebody, and then we have this fabric name? Like, we have to like be really strict. Like, we can't.
What if he turns up in the Diddy files?
Yes, like, what if he shows up in the Diddy files? He was at a freak off party, and then we have to like, now, you know, I mean, you just don't know. Like,
yeah.
I mean, luckily he hasn't, and congratulations for him. As far as I know, anyway. But like, you know, so we have to be sort of careful about some of the pop culture references because it's like things turn on a dime now.
Yeah.
And from the time we name it to the time it's in stores can be up to a year.
Yeah.
A lot can happen before it comes out. But to everybody else, it's like, it just came out and you just came up with this. They don't know that we came up with it 2 years ago, you know? So it's like, or a year ago or whatever it is. So yeah, it's a little bit of a minefield, but Cameron's pretty funny with it. We tend to like pick a theme and then run with that, like a play on words, like with nursery rhymes, or a play on words with whatever. Like, I really want to tell you one that I just recently named that is, in my opinion, the funniest thing ever, but you'll see it soon.
So my last question, because you've been very generous with your time, is how do you stay passionate? How do you stay, like, as someone, you know that, and it drives me bonkers when I hear people say it, but take something you love and make it into your business and you'll never work a day again in your life, which is a load of BS.
Enjoy it ever again is the way that should really end.
Yeah. You will come to loathe it.
People who open quilt shops and they're like, I opened a quilt shop because I just want to spend all my time quilting. I'm like, you will never quilt again. Ever.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. And I think, so I have to make a real concerted effort. Is concerted a word? I think so. I have to make a very specific effort to keep my passion side of it open. I make room to make quilts that are just for me that I won't write patterns for. We just showed one not too long ago that was like this pixel bird. I just wanted to make it. I'm never going to write a pattern for it because then it takes this thing I did that I had fun with that I'm really proud of and it makes it work. And I don't want to. You know, so keeping things for myself, I think, is what keeps me passionate. And also, I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, my life isn't very well balanced.
No, get out.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, you know, I work 6 days a week. I mean, it's been a real effort for me to take that down from 7. I try to take 1 day off a week.
Even God took a day off. Like,
so I hear.
Rest is important.
Rest is important. It's really funny too. Like, I don't know how to articulate this, but like, I think I'm weird. I think I'm just weird. Like, I think I'm just so deeply obsessed with this that there's just like, I can't walk away from it. I mean, it's 24/7.
I would counter that with you are blessed, not weird, because you know how many. Yeah. I know you do, but I'm like, do you know how many people are out in the world that don't know what they love? That don't.
I say this all the time. I feel so lucky to have found the exact thing I was meant to do. And I don't just mean drawing. I mean drawing for fabric. It's a very specific kind of art skill because it's like half math, half creativity, it's strategy, it's balance because I have to work in all these really strict parameters for repeats and sizing, and it has to all fit together perfectly. It's really like complicated, honestly.
Yeah, and I would love if you, and just as a side note, if you and Cam want a side hustle off your thing, if you could do a lecture series, Cam on business, working with your sister, social media management, all of that sort of stuff, all that with the side of cars. And then for you, if you could talk about, you know, scale, repeat, design, like, because and this is horrible, but you can see sometimes when people transition from other illustrative work into fabric that aren't quilters, they don't understand
Absolutely,
the scale,
you have to be a
repeat,
quilter
all of
to
that
design
sort of
fabric
stuff.
for quilting. 100%.
Exactly.
You cannot design fabric for quilting if you don't use it. I learned more for the next fabric collection from working with the previous one. I mean, I start making a quilt and I start realizing how it's cutting down, and I take that information into the next one. And like, I'll be working with a piece and I'll think, you know, gosh, I really wish it did this.
Yeah.
Because then it would fit perfectly, or it would do this in a perfect way. And then I take it to that. So it's a real balance of like, I always have the art pieces. I don't even know if this has anything to do with your question anymore. I'm just excited about what I'm talking about. But there's like the art pieces, then there's the useful pieces. And if I can make the art pieces really useful, then I've solved a huge problem. It doesn't happen every time. Some are more about the artwork. Some are more about the usability of it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have both. But in order to design for quilting, you must be a quilter, because it's so much about color balance and scale, and also like, you have to, this is the only sort of creative field where you have to create a piece of artwork, and then it's not lived its full lifespan until you hand it to somebody else that you don't know, who does whatever they want with it. And then it's lived its full life cycle, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really unusual form of creating something because you're not in control of its final product. So it's like a weird kind of performance art.
But imagine going into like Mona or somewhere like that and MoMA, and going, I'm going to cut this painting up and then I'm going to sew it back together, but I'm not going to use all of the painting.
Squares, combining it with this painting over here, and then like put a bunch of stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing to think about when you think about it rationally, what you're doing from an artist's perspective or a creator's perspective. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre thing to do. And that is what I love the most about it.
But it's the thing that gets me excited most about your work, is because from the very first piece to the latest piece that's on the shelf, you can see a distinct evolution of understanding of space, scale, color. And as a quilter, you can have so much fun with those fabrics. And I feel like, from a very selfish point of view, you're servicing my needs because I need specific fabrics to do the type of craft I want to do.
Sure.
And so it's a collaboration where the two people never actually speak.
Absolutely. That's what's so great about it.
To me, looking on, you seem to get really excited where others maybe not, about how people use your fabric. Like,
love it. It's my favorite part.
Yeah, and it's the same as every time I do 100 days, it's an exciting thing for me because I see how other people interpret fabric placement and scale.
I mean, every Monday morning, Cameron and I sit down and scroll through all the projects that people have made that they posted over the weekend. And it's amazing. It's like, I'm design something, I think of what I want to do with it as I'm designing it. And that does really pigeonhole me into that initial thought pattern. And so it's not until it goes out that I see how everyone else sees it. And they see it so much differently than I do. And so I get to see my fabric used in ways I never conceived of, I never thought about. And as a creator, that is really exciting because your work can go so much further than yourself, right? So it's like, I mean, when I see a quilt, a piece of clothing, a bag, or something that like combines two fabrics in a way I didn't think about it, or takes something that I've done in mine and then takes it in a different way, right? Like, like I put everything in rainbow order because I'm super type A and that's just who I am. So I'll see somebody take this big rainbow quilt and break it down into smaller rainbows and make bags and all these things. And I'm just like, wow, like I never even thought about it like that. and the fussy cutting that people do to create completely new patterns. I mean, that is the brilliant thing about this. Like, and it's why I don't design bedding or dishes or whatever. Like, and I've been asked for years, like, if I'm ever like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Because I don't care. Like, I care about quilting, and I care about the idea that somebody has to put as much effort into whatever they're making as I did. Like, because if somebody takes my fabric and makes a quilt, I know how much thought they're putting into that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It's as much probably as I did. Like, it's an equal amount of attention. And like, I mean, what an honor. Like, how insane is that?
I know, but then, I don't know about you, it drives my husband bonkers, but I could go into a fabric store and just look at the fabric and, I know, this sounds really funny. I look at it like an antiques roadshow. I like to go in, pull it out, have a look at it, wonder about how you could use it, match it with other things. I could listen to a fabric designer talk about their process for hours on end. I would just be like, okay, so you did that. Oh, that was considered. Okay. And then to see, it's the other thing that I love about going to a quilt show is you see all these quilts hung up and I think somebody made that. And that person, a little bit of that person is in this quilt and a little bit of how
Probably
they see the world.
Actual DNA is in that quilt.
Yeah, we don't like to think about it.
I mean, I bleed on almost every quilt I make. Just saying.
Oh, that's good. So we can clone you in future years. But it's that thing of a little bit of them, a little bit of their life experience, the things that inform who they are is in that quilt. And I think it's such a deeply personal thing, and 90% of those quilts are going to be given to somebody else. So then that's that gifting on. And I know this sounds funny, but I'm like, I feel sorry for those that don't fully get to appreciate the joy that we get in quilting. Like it's
absolutely. I feel sorry for every human being that's not a quilter. Absolutely. I'm just like, oh. Like, I'm sorry that your life is the way it is, that it doesn't involve quilting. Like, I'm sorry for you. That's too bad.
I don't like that for you, but yeah.
I don't like that for you at all.
But thank you so very much for giving up your time.
My pleasure.
Thank you to Cameron. If you could continue to do what you do for another 20 years, and I would be very grateful.
I don't have anything else on my schedule, so.
No, yeah. And if you enjoy the studio, enjoy what you guys have worked hard for, and yeah, thank you. Thank you to both of you. I'm just excited to have
all my fabric in one place again.
Hello, Fussy Cutters. It's me again. Good job on sticking this far through. It's been an hour. We've got an hour to go. Again, we had a little bit of a technical thing in the middle here, so we've put this in here. I hope you are really enjoying it and learning a little bit more about things, and I hope you enjoy the next hour. Let's get chatting again. You know what? I really love the idea that you're building an archive unit, because one of my other secret little foibles is I really love costume designing in television shows.
Really?
And I think the costume department in the Gilded Age are fussy cutters, because there's a dress that one of the characters wears and it's a plaid, and they've matched the plaid across the seams of the bodice.
Is that the most satisfying thing in the world? Oh my God.
Yes.
I could die on that.
To the point where I'm like, I would love a poster of her in that dress just to put on the wall.
Show me matching up plaids. You know how hard that is?
And on a bodice. Like she's had to...
God. On curved seams. Stop
exactly.
It. You're making my brain melt.
The bustle comes in and meets the plaid at just the right points. Like,
do you know how satisfied the person who made that was when it was done? They were like, I am so good at my job.
And I think I want to know who it is so I can send them a letter and go, I appreciated seeing that.
Oh, that would be great.
One fussy cutter to another. Yeah. I appreciate everything that you've done in that masterpiece. But I often think the studios must have big warehouses of costumes.
Have to.
Yeah. And I know that there's been actresses and actors who've like, I keep a humidified room with all of the stuff that I take. And it just, I loved it that you have one because I think that shows just how important quilts are.
Yeah,
and that they're getting the respect that they deserve.
They absolutely
and I know you don't think of yourself as an artist, but I was like, someday some museum is going to be so thankful that you put that effort in to keep those quilts in the way that they are, that Ken Burns can have one in his collection and that some Iowa quilt museum can have the rest.
I mean, you know, it's like you hope they go somewhere where and like, it's not the whole artist thing. Like, I know I have like an apprehension about like the gallery, the untouchable, precious gallery art nature of that sort of world is sort of more of why I don't put myself in that category. Because if my quilts aren't being used, then what the heck are they for?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't treat really anything as being ultimately too precious. Like, that's what I love about this as an art form is that it's utility. It's valuable for what it can do, not just what it looks like.
Yeah, and someone's going to build a fort out of it one day. And
absolutely.
I'm going to be happy.
I mean, if all goes well, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if everything, I made a baby quilt for a friend once, and then I went to her nursery and she had it on the wall. And I was like, what is this? I was like so offended that it was hanging on the wall. She goes, well, I didn't want her to get it dirty. I'm like, it's a baby quilt. If it's not dirty, then I think you don't like it.
Or don't like the kid.
Or don't like the kid. There's that too. No, it was a pretty cute kid. But
you have a unique position because I think there's you, the person, right? And we haven't even touched on the fact that you do such a good job of keeping you, the person, separate from you, the brand.
People don't think I do, but I do.
You do. And I think that's a really powerful lesson for people too, around your business doesn't have to be you.
Right.
And then the other thing is that you hold a position in our industry where the work that you and Cameron and your family as a whole have done is really important to have kept this craft alive and to have furthered this craft. And so keeping an archive of the work that you've all done together is really important so that future generations, if we get so lucky as to have some, don't forget whose shoulders they're on to get, like, I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for all the people that came before me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel exactly the same way. Like, you know, would anybody have been receptive to my fabric if Kate didn't come before me and sort of beat down that path? And, you know, and Amy Butler and Valerie Wells. And I mean, there's a bunch of people that came before us that really started pushing the boundaries of what quilting fabric was. And, you know, and then you just try to honor that while pushing it a little bit forward and, you know, knowing that people are going to come up behind you and take what you've done and take it even further than you did. Like, it's just a constant cycle, you know, but it's amazing. Like, it's an amazing cycle that we've taken this sort of like, and I'm using air quotes, like women's work and made it into something really beautiful and sort of culturally relevant and precious, and there's so much joy and people share so many emotions. And I mean, I know like the things that people share with me are like insane, you know, and it's like, gosh, like it's gotten people through chemo. They're like, I sat and sewed your little fussy cut hexagons through hexagons through my whole, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you know, like, it's so much of who we are is in this thing, and it's who we are, but then we're sharing it with all these people, whether we know it or not. You know, it's like I might design a fabric with an animal in it that was their mother's favorite animal, and that becomes their sort of like totem and their, you know, it's so crazy. We have no idea how we're impacting each other. And it's just like running like lightning through the whole community all the time. And we don't even know the impact we're having. You know, there's a million people out there that have no idea the impact they've had on me, you know? And I try to make a real effort to like let people know when they've impacted me, but I don't always like, But, you know, and I mean, that's why, like, we're so, like, Cameron and I love, like, sharing other people's work with our community and, like, you know, like, giving people credit when they do these, like, freaking By Annie, like, is, like, a crazy genius, you know? And she's like the sweetest person in the world. So it's like every video I get to do that highlights her, I'm so excited about it, you know, but she had a huge impact on me. She taught me how to make bags.
Yeah. But that's the thing, because there's that scarcity mindset or the abundance mindset. And I feel like you guys are definitely in the abundance camp.
We
where
are.
If
and
everybody,
consciously so.
Yeah. If the rising tide lifts all boats. And so if you guys can lift others up with you when others have lifted you up, then everyone's going in the right direction together.
There's enough for everybody. There really, really is. And I know it's hard to see maybe
especially
when you're...
now.
It is, yeah. But like when you don't feel like you're getting your fair share in the beginning, of course, you know, I mean, I had to have a second job until like 5 years, 6 years into this, you know, I mean, it wasn't like... It's not an overnight thing. It's a slow build. And I mean, for me, it was a slow build. Like it was a very slow build over years and years. But there is enough room for everybody. Like if you do something good, people will respond to it.
Yeah.
And
there's 7 billion people.
Yeah. And if people aren't respond to it, like look to yourself first, you know, like I always like to say that, like, if ever there's a problem, I always look to myself first because I hope it's me. Because if I'm the problem, I can change it.
Yeah.
If you're the problem,
like a true control freak.
About it. Yeah. Like if you're the problem, I can't do anything about it. But so I'm like, am I the problem? Like what? Because if it's me, then I can fix it, you know?
Yeah.
So, but same, I mean, and I did that in my fabric. It was like, you know, I got to a point where it's like, okay, I need to either pivot and do something really traditional, or just take this like really deep and make it really over the top. And if that doesn't work, then I know I did all I can. And that's what I did. And it worked. And that was my first collection that like really went well for me, was Parisville. And that was the first time I like really like just was like, all right, no one's really looking at my fabric anyway, so I might as well do what I want.
Yeah.
And I think say, like, I was holding back before that.
No.
I was holding back. And that was a real, like, explosion for me. Like, that was by far the weirdest thing I'd ever done. Yeah. And the most colorful, the biggest prints. Like, it was a real departure. And I just, like, I kind of had to, like, put it all on the line or walk away. And I was like, I don't want to walk away without at least giving it like 110%. And then if this doesn't work, I walk away, I'll go get a regular job. Like it'll be fine, you know, but it worked.
Yeah. And I think it's a testament to the hard work that you guys put in to trusting in yourself and also having the trust of Cameron, because it's a big deal when someone's in your corner. Like and
truly in your corner. Like, he genuinely wants the best for me. It's not just about what he gets out of it. Like, I really believe that. Yeah, and he shows me that every day, you know?
Yeah, and it's reflective in the work that you do together. Like, it's just, I have so many questions about, do you have a business? Like, when you went, this is the business we're going to make, did you have a business model in mind that you went, or did you go, I've seen other people outside the industry do this, this, and this, and it's worked?
Honestly, Cameron and I really built this on intuition.
Yeah.
We really didn't know a lot about business. We didn't know a lot about anything, really. And we just every day tried to make decisions that reflected our integrity and our ethics the best. I mean, you know, we've turned away from a lot of fast money. We've always felt like it would pay off in the long run. So we've always bet on ourselves. And it's really just instinct and doing what we think is right for our audience. Like, we can drop a lot of cheap product with pretty prints on it on the market. I mean, we get asked to do it every single day. We've just never been interested in that. So, like, we're kind of like accidentally good at business.
Oh, but I think it's because you understand your audience, right?
We do.
It's because you are part of your audience.
I understand my audience. I was just going to say, I understand my audience because I am my audience.
Yeah.
You know, like, I go to the quilt shops. I get excited when new things come out. Like, I am just like every other quilter who experiences all the same things. Like, you know, I see that new pattern and I'm dying to make it and I can't wait till it comes out. Like, you know, so I am definitely doing all of that. I am very much my audience.
Plus, you understand that the quality of quality, if you buy something, you want it to work and last.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
If I make a tool or whatever, like, it better be the only thing in my studio. Like, I don't have a secret drawer of Ginger scissors anywhere. Like, I only use my scissors, you know? Like,
so you're not going to do a Britney and be caught drinking Coke when you're sponsored by Pepsi.
Not going to happen. I mean, I use my iron every day. I sew on a Bernina every day. It's like, if I'm not going to use it exclusively, and I will often wait until that happens. Like, I'll get a sample of a product, you know, that we've designed or whatever. And if it's not the only thing I'm reaching for, then I won't approve it and we won't move forward with it. So, like, I am genuinely my own customer. And I do buy a lot of my own product under a pseudonym because it's embarrassing.
But if it works, that's because it's too expensive, and there's other things like bills apparently that need to be paid.
I know, I've heard that.
Yeah, that you don't want to be buying something every 3 months because it keeps breaking. I don't care how cute it is.
Spending money on things that I've made. I mean, who wants that? You know,
exactly.
I mean, I think some people don't care. I do, you know, so I mean, I put a lot of effort into that, and Cameron does too. And, you know, we've killed a lot of projects halfway through that there was a lot of investment in because I didn't want to ask anyone to spend money on it. And it might have been cool and people might have liked it. I didn't think it was good enough. So we've done that quite a lot.
But I mean, that gets back into respecting the parameters of the brand, because every time you release a dud, it waters down confidence in your brand.
Absolutely.
So that's an important investment in what you guys are trying to achieve.
Absolutely.
That consistency of quality.
Well, and too, it's like, you know, it's not like I'm in the basement like making this stuff. Like, I very much have nothing to do with the manufacturing of any of these products, but it's my name on it. At the end, it's mine. I'm the one who has to stand in front of it. So all mistakes are mine, you know? So it's like we have to be really attentive to these things.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit and ask you a question. In this age of celebrity, how do you deal with, like, and I'm going to open myself up a little bit here, but I've been freaking out since we booked this appointment because I was like, okay, so this is Tula. Her time's very valuable. She's done amazing things.
I know you keep trying to kick me off this podcast, and I'm like, I'm fine.
But it's that thing of, and then I would be like, well, she gets up, puts pants on one leg at a time, it goes around, like, you are a person.
A whole person
with feelings and emotions and needs and fuel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with that level of fandom that we seem to have bestowed upon you?
Well, I mean, I think like I'm not going to like pretend it doesn't exist, because yes, of course I see that.
But you're not alone. It's not just reserved for you. The quilting industry, it's
Absolutely.
a thing.
I will say, though, that it's like there's a tendency to think that it's like real constant. It isn't. Like, it's not like real celebrity, right? Like, nobody like stops me at the grocery store or like, freaks out when I'm walking down the street. Like, that doesn't happen. This isn't real celebrity. It's like this very, very like specific niche, minor kind of attention. And because it's so infrequent, it's honestly really exciting when it happens, because it's like, wait, you like what I do that much? That's awesome. Because 95% of the time I'm sitting alone in a room by myself figuring this out, right? So I think there's, it was never something that I sought out, like, because when I got into this industry, you didn't know what designers look like. So there was no anticipation for that. It was very much something I never saw coming. And it did take me a long time to get comfortable with it. It was really uncomfortable because I tend to be an anonymous kind of person by nature. Like, I like privacy. I very rarely leave my property. I don't like it when people know where I am or what I'm doing, like at any given time. Like, if I'm going out during the day and Cam goes, "Where are you going?" It's like, why do you care? Yeah. Like, what do you need to know that? Like, I'm very,
I feel you. Yep.
I'm pretty isolated. Like, I like my own company and I kind of spend a lot of time by myself. And so it's definitely not something that it's something that I had to learn to get comfortable with. But again, my brother said one day, like, I was really struggling with it at one point. My brother's like, we really have to be worried if this stops happening. And I was like, fair. And so, it's like, you kind of have to appreciate it as a part of the whole. Like, if you want people to love what you do, they might love you too. And why is that bad? Like, you kind of have to get over yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And be like, to be fair, like, I know that it's not really about me. Yeah.
Well, like, it's about a part of you.
It's about a part of me, but it's very much more about an idea of me, and I don't want to kill that idea for them. Yeah. Like, it's not important whether how much that really matches who I really am. What is important when I meet people for the first time who have followed my work online or whatever is that they get the experience that they need out of me. Right?
So you're like Disneyland. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I want them. I mean, there's nothing worse than meeting somebody you admire and being disappointed, and I feel like that's important that I have that service for them, right? Like,
yeah, but it's not your responsibility to morph into this person that they have
morphing for sure. Yeah. Like, I only have one mode. Like, I really only have like one steady mode. But I think again, it goes back to that ego. It's like, get over yourself. Someone's excited to meet you. How is that bad?
Yeah.
Like, how is that
it's a service
inconvenience to you? Like, that's really stupid, like, I mean, I guess it would be different if you're like Zendaya or something and like a real celebrity, right? But like, that's not what this is. So let's be realistic about this, like, the only time anybody knows who I am when I walk in a room is if it's at like a sewing expo or something. Like, that's the only time. So it's not like it's all the time. It's not constant. And it's like, we're all sharing this thing that we love. Like, I mean, how great is it to meet, like, if you meet somebody who recently read a book you loved and they loved it too, and you get to talk about it. Like, I get to do that all the time. Right? Yeah. Like, I'm constantly meeting people who have the same interests as me. Like, there's no downside to that. Like, nope. How could meeting somebody with shared interests that love something you love be like an inconvenience, right? It's not.
Or just meeting someone who's excited about something.
Yeah. I love
that's why TED Talks are great.
Yeah. I love when people are excited about things, like kind of anything. Like, I'm really into people who are really into things. Like, that's a really attractive quality to me, is somebody who has like a real deep passion for something, even if it's something I don't care about. Like, I'll care about it so much. because they do.
I will be right there with them. I'll be like, tell me more.
Tell
and then
me
the carburetor does
about
what?
grasshoppers. I want to know everything about them. Like, all of a sudden, I'm so excited about grasshoppers. They've always freaked me out. Now they're my favorite thing I've ever seen. Like, I mean, I definitely do that. Like, I'm really, passion is catching, and I get really excited by people who are excited.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things that social media gives us is when you find an account where someone is so clearly passionate about what they're making that it inspires you to put the phone down and go and do something yourself. Like
absolutely,
it passes on that little bit of a torch to the next
absolutely.
person.
I mean, I'm never more motivated to make something than when I watch like a docuseries about people making things. I always want to go make things.
I was going to say there is before when we were talking about how you rely on Cameron, so my husband's an aviation nerd, and there's a documentary on Netflix about the Air Force. Oh God, he's going to kill me. They're like the Blue Hornets or the Blue Angels.
The Blue Angels.
Yeah, but it's about a squad from 2023, and it's a documentary. And they do this stunt where they have to trust. They can't actually see each other. They have to trust that they're in the spot where they're supposed to be, and they call it death trust.
Yes.
And after the documentary,
I'm like weirdly familiar with the Blue Angels, so continue.
Yeah. So I was saying to my husband afterwards, I would watch a whole series on how the psychology and the processes that they use to build the team to a point where the team trusts each other enough to be in that position, right?
Uh-huh.
And so for you and Cam, everyone just sort of assumes, well, you're family. You trust him because he's your brother. But I'm here to tell you, that doesn't account for anything.
No,
you have to earn that trust.
It was earned over years.
Yeah. So it's this unique thing where you guys could be flying a plane together, two planes separately, and you have to trust that you're both going to be there at the same time.
Absolutely.
Do you look to anybody else? Like, I know you have a history in the music industry, and obviously music is a thing for you as well. Do you look to anybody else outside of the industry and go, oh, I can appreciate what they're doing over there, we'll do it over here? Or
oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we look outside of our industry constantly and go, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I like how they handle, I mean, you know, how they handled that and how they dealt with that and all of that. Or like, you know, I mean, we really looked around a lot for how to handle like the Deja Vu collections specifically, because there was a real hunger for the old stuff, right? But we didn't want to devalue the people who had bought it originally or acquired it at a much higher price. Like, we didn't want to just devalue that work for them. Obviously that has no bearing on me. You know, I didn't sell it to them. So, you know, but it was like, you don't want to devalue that because those are the people that have been in it, like that are really serious about it. So we don't want to mess with their collection or who they are. But we also want to service this new customer who can't afford to buy a fat quarter for $100, you know?
Yeah.
But we want them to have a piece of it too, because they're also passionate about it. They just found us later, you know, maybe they didn't learn to quilt until COVID started or whatever. And, you know, they don't have the funds to go. So it's like, can we do something that addresses that old stuff, but like enhance it in some way, like give it some kind of new life? And we kind of looked at like the Taylor's version albums, the Taylor Swift albums that she redid. And of course we weren't dealing with any nefarious back end stuff or anything, but it was like, you know, that's interesting. You know, she takes this work that people know by heart and they love it, but she like brought all the experience in the years since she made that and then like redid it with all that extra knowledge, right? And so I was like, is there a way that we can do that, like with these old things, and call it deja vu and make sure that it doesn't infringe on the original, so that if you have the original, you can it'll still be obvious that it's the original, but we also don't want to make it like less interesting than the original, because we don't want to gyp anyone who's buying it now, So it was like, how can I take this and take all this years of color and work and, like not change it, but enhance it in some way. And so we actually did kind of like have it was a brief conversation about like the Taylor's version albums.
It would be my dream to find out that Taylor Swift was a quilter. Could you imagine if all the Swifties became quilters?
I
it
know
would be
there was
like
that one clip of like, there was like all these, like some video clip montage thing where she was sewing. And I got really excited and I zoomed in on it and she was sewing something, but it wasn't anything. And I'm like, I don't know that she actually sews. Maybe she does. That would be amazing.
I think she knits. So,
I mean, she has a sewing machine, clearly. She sews something. I just don't know what she sews. But yes, that
probably
would be
her outfits for concerts.
Well, I know, like, right. Sure, she's making her own outfits. That would be insane. But I know there are some quilting celebrities. Kelly Clarkson. Quilts, because she gave quilts to everybody on whatever show. What was that? Was it
The Voice,
American Idol
I think.
or The Voice?
The Voice.
And somebody sent me a screenshot because there were some of my otters were in one of the quilts. So I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah. And I think she bought it from Southwest. No, South, Craft South.
Oh,
that
did
was
she
a store
really?
She went in. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think that's the rumor. But yeah,
that's really
that she went in
funny.
there and picked fabric and everything from there.
Oh, no way. That's crazy. That's actually kind of cool. A lot of crossover there. Yeah, no, it's just a fascinating it's like, I feel like quilting is like the biggest secret in the world. Like it's actually a really big community, but it's like no one knows about it, which I find super interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was actually coming home from Sydney when I was in Australia a few months ago, and I was standing and like lining up to get on the plane with my group, and somebody behind me was like, "Are you Tula Pink?" And I was like, "Seriously?" She goes, "Well, I wasn't sure, but then you started talking and I listen to that voice every Tuesday." And I was like, "Seriously?" And it was really funny because she goes, "Will you take a picture with me?" Like, this does not happen very often. This is like super rare. And this one was real random. Like, I'm on the other side of the planet, right? And she's taking a picture of me, and then some guy standing in the line next to us, because we were lined up in our zones or whatever, was like, "Who is that?" And he goes, "I don't know, probably some dumb internet celebrity." And I looked over at him, I'm like, "You're correct."
So on the money, sir.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah.
Totally
inconsequential. I have scissors tattooed on my forearm, and the first question I always get is, "Are you a hairdresser?" To which I reply, "Would I look like this if I was a hairdresser?" Because they are always so much more stylish and put together. And when I go, no, they're tailor shears for I'm a quilter, the amount of people that go, "Oh, my mum's a quilter," or "My aunt's a quilter," and
my
you're like,
grandma's a quilter.
Where have you all been?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it is the thing that kind of binds people. And then I find having done, like, the podcast was purely a selfish thing because I just wanted to talk to other people who would nerd out about fabric.
Absolutely.
But the amount of people that you can talk to for hours on end about scale, repeats, colour, and who understand, like, I grew up in Australia, so we use the metric system, but now I am very fluent in inches, yards, feet. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
To the point where when we renovated, the builder went, how big do you want this? And I went, 2.5 inches. And he went, what?
What does that even mean? I know.
Could you do that in centimeters? I'm like, this big. But it's one of those things, if you know, you know. Like, it's the joy that comes from it. And to me, very selfishly, but I look at the fabric and I go, oh, I would just love to know why that scale, why that placement, why that fabric, like, why that design, why did you put a filler there? Why was this the basic? Why? Like, all of those things go through my head, and I think to have... selfishly, I would love it if you did a documentary with HGTV where we just got the start of a collection to the end of a collection.
Oh my gosh, I never could. So I can't draw with anyone in the room.
Okay. All right. So we'd have to like secretly put a nanny cam teddy bear.
I would know. I would know.
Or even just come out and go, I just did these.
Yeah.
Just did. But that whole thing
that is one thing that I wish I could do, but it's too detrimental to the business to show things too early. I would love to show you things as I make them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that would be the thing that would kill me.
The problem is, like, I'm drawing something right now. It's right behind the screen I'm talking to you on, and that's what I keep looking over at because it's hard not to, because I'm seeing all the flaws in the repeat that I need to go out and fix, and I'm making little notes right here on it. But, like I would love to finish this and just show it to people. The problem is it won't be on fabric in stores for 2 years. If I finish it tomorrow, it'll be in stores in 2 years. So it's like it cuts off the collections that are current. Then it's old by the time people get it. Like even where we're at now, where like we're showing a collection in October and then shipping it in April, but we're showing it to you on the internet in October. That never used to be the case. Only the shop saw it in October. And so when it came out in stores is the first time everybody gets to see it. And like, so now we're having to work because of the internet and because of how educated the audience has become. We're having to deal with all of this, like cadence adjustment, right? Like there's no way for me to just show things to shop owners. And to be honest, the shop owners are the leakers.
Yeah.
So if you show it to them, they'll take a picture and it helps them sell. Like they'll put it online. Like they've now learned that if they put it online early and take pre-orders, they can better gauge how much fabric to buy. Because one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand is that pretty much as soon as fabric shows up in a shop, it's out of print.
Yep.
All the orders for that fabric were taken 6 months ago. It is out of print. It is no longer in print. So unless it's some kind of runaway hit, sometimes they'll do like a reprint of something, but it's very rare and it's very unusual. So everything you're looking at a store is essentially like you often, not always, but often can't go back and repurchase that if something sells faster than you assumed it would. And you made a kit out of it and it's going really well and you want to make more kits, well, you probably can't get that fabric again. Like, and the minimum amount of orders that someone like Free Spirit would need to get in order to reprint that is way more than you can imagine. So, you know, people will be like, I'm willing to buy 5 bolts of it. It's like, girl, that won't even start the conversation. Like, I wish it would. But because this isn't digitally printed, the amount of like actual production that needs to occur is so massive that minimum amount of yardage that needs to be printed to print one fabric is in the thousands. And, you know, 5 bolts at 10 yards a bolt is nowhere near enough to start that machine, right? Yeah. And so I think people really don't understand how much fabric it takes to how much interest it takes to reprint something is pretty monumental. And for me, I'd rather just move on. Like I've got nothing coming down the road. Like I'm not really interested in going backwards. And I'm unusual in that sense. Like, because it is better money to let something keep going because you're not doing the work and you keep making money. But my biggest fear is that I'll die before I execute all the ideas I have. So like, I need to keep moving, you know, like I don't have time to linger on a thing.
I have a fear that I will die like Jeff Buckley before my time. And the quilts that I have half finished, someone will come in and go, oh, I think we should finish that album and then release it. And it's no. And you're like, no, like it wasn't, don't.
I actually have called out in my will, if I'm mid-collection, who can finish it.
We have it. Our solicitor thought I was really weird, and I was like, I need you to include this list. These are the people that get the fabric in these specific tubs, and do not release this, and this.
Yeah.
And like, it was such a thing of, and Grant was like, who do you think you are? And I'm like, trust me, babe, I do not want this stuff out.
Yeah.
Because... And like, I am a big music nerd, and so I look at artists who I've loved, like Jeff Buckley, and they release an album, or Nirvana or something, and they release a posthumous album, and I think, was that what the artist wanted?
Yeah.
Was that what, would they have been happy if that was out
with
there?
that outcome? Yeah.
And I kind of go,
no, it's interesting. I mean, I put a lot of thought into it. It's like, if something happened to me, if I was mid-collection, who could finish it and under what circumstances, you know?
That's a really interesting, yep.
Yeah. And, like, so that's important to me. And then, you know, also, like, Cameron wanted all the fabric. He doesn't sew.
That's because he's smart.
He is smart. He's smart. Yeah. I think he's just waiting for me to die so he can sell all my stuff on eBay. But, you know, who knows?
Yeah. No, but it is because I think that posthumous album is the last taste the fans get, and you don't want that to be the thing that's in their mind.
Yeah.
Oh, he was really great on Grace, but this album's really crap.
Right.
And so
I think there's an understanding, though, especially when it comes to music, that like this, because the person wasn't in control of finishing this, there's like an allowance. Like, I know I give an allowance to especially if like the band was involved. It's like, okay, well, this was always their work too. Like, they might not have been the main genius, but like, I give some grace. But then you have to listen.
You have to listen to the reviews from the people who don't understand the process,
right? And
then slam it, and you go, well, you now are muddying the water on what would have been. It's funny, I often look to the music industry and go, I think the second album syndrome is very strong in fabric design. The first collection goes off massive, and they're like, we found a new fabric designer. And then they release their second collection, and you're like, that's not as strong as the first.
Well, you know why that happens?
It's because they're mid-production. They haven't had the feedback from the first one.
Well, that's part of it for fabric. That's part of it. The other part of it is they have ages to make that first collection. And then by the second one, they're on the same cycle as the rest of us. So they only have months to work on it. You know, like, there's been a lot of fabric designers, that first collection was such a banger and they worked on it for like 2 years. Well, 6 months later, they need to have another one. And now they're on the same. So it's kind of like the difference. Like, I'm going to use sports here, which I apologize in advance. But it's like the difference between being a college athlete and being a professional athlete. Like, you might be the best in your college whatever team, but being in the professional league is a whole different ballgame, right? Yeah. And so sometimes that's why I always say you can't discount a designer until after their third collection, because then they get used to the cadence, they get their feet, and by the third collection, you've now started to get feedback from the first two, so you now know where you stand and what you need to adjust, if there's anything to adjust. So if their first collection's a banger and their fourth collection's a banger, their career's going to be fine.
Right. That's a really...
Yeah.
Fourth
so it's that
crap.
Fourth one. The fourth one is the clincher for me. Like, it's kind of between the third and the fourth. Some people it's the third, some people it's the fourth, but it's that one is the one that really matters because they've had the feedback. They know what's working and what's not. They've been on the cycle, the time cycle for a while. We call it the cadence. They've been on the cadence for a while. They're used to the rhythm. Now, what do they do within the same parameters that we all have, right?
Yep.
So that's when it kind of really matters. That's when you become a professional. And it's really interesting because my career was very much the opposite. Like, no one paid attention at the beginning. My career has been a really slow build. Like, just gaining a little bit more, like a few more people who liked it kind of every time. It was not by any means an overnight thing. It wasn't like my first one out of the gate, no one bought it. that's why it's so rare and popular, because nothing was made, because no one bought it. Like 10 stores bought that collection, you know, like Moda took a bath on that collection, and now like a fat quarter is like hundreds of dollars, which is so crazy. And it is kind of interesting, like, to sit where I'm sitting now with how my career started is actually really unusual. Like usually the people that are really successful in this industry sort of start out with a bigger bang. I really whispered for years. Like I was.
But do you think that's social? Do you think it's socials that helped you? What do you attribute that to? Because you guys adapted to the social media landscape so much quicker than everybody else.
Did. I mean, in a way we did. Like there were a lot of people there before us, and we did adapt to it. I think we handled our social media a lot differently than anyone else did. We've never given away anything for free on our, like, ever. And that was a conscious decision we made really early on, because we wanted people to be there because they wanted to be there, not because like they were going to get something.
There's something in it for them.
Like we never did like, you know, get 5 people to follow and be entered to win. Like we never did any of that. We more did like, we rewarded people that were there all along, like kind of a surprise way, but we've done that. But we call it random acts of kindness. Sometimes we'll just like send somebody something that just always leaves a good comment, you know? But yeah, I mean, it was the socials, but I also think it was like, I'm really grateful for how it happened, because I think I was able to make a lot of my mistakes when no one was watching. And I was able to sort of develop who I was going to be as a person in this industry, as a designer in this industry, as a business person in this industry. You know, like I was able to do all of that in a more comfortable way because the success came so slowly. And I also think like the longer it takes to build something, the longer it takes to tear it down. So I think we were able to build like a really strong foundation. And by the time people were paying attention, like I feel like we really knew who we were, because we had worked through a lot of that. So I would not have it any other way. Like, yeah, it would have been nice to like eat something other than frozen burritos those first couple of years, but
you appreciate the filet now because you had the burritos then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and that it paved the way. You know, when Cameron first came to work for me, I was paying him in room and board.
You should still do that.
Yeah, he is not a cheap employee, I will tell you that. And he's worth every penny. But yeah, no.
Quality costs.
That's the problem. It does. You get what you pay for, you know, like I've always made sure that he's risen with me, that, you know, like that we've risen together, that our lives have stayed in pace with each other. And that's important to me. It's important to him. But and that's part of the trust thing too. Like he knows I'm not going to do him dirty.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess the other thing too is, and I know this sounds really funny, but you started quite young, and there's a certain level of maturity that I think is reflective now in, like as you've grown and those experiences, and because you had a slow rise, so to speak, you were able to learn those lessons without an audience, as you've said.
Absolutely.
And so you've been able to implement those and apply those. Do you worry at all about the future of the industry in this age where it's expected to happen like that, where the cycle seems to be, or the cadence, as you call it, seems to be really sped up, that balancing that because a lot of your job is about managing expectations.
Absolutely.
And keeping everyone in that excited for what's coming, but excited about what's just landed. And like, it's just a horrible tight line.
It's a horrible timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I know I'm guilty of it at times where there's stuff that's just come out and I normally would have been excited about it, but I've seen something shinier up the front. Squirrel.
Yeah, and we have to manage that and be aware of it. And, you know, it's tough to, like, we really balance that in our social media. Like, we have to launch gray work while
Genius, by the way.
Thank you. While Fulman Forest 2 is shipping. We have to. We have no choice, right?
Yeah.
So we have to do that. And so it's like, it's a real strategic, like, show gray work, Fulman Forest 2, Fulman Forest 2, Fulman Forest 2, show gray work, Fulman Forest 2, Fulman Forest 2. Oh, here's a little Untamed in case you still got that in your sewing bucket. It's like, it's all really, we're really conscious about how we roll stuff out because we hate it too. Everyone hates it. We just don't know any other way to do it. I think the industry will adapt. I'm not worried about that. I think the industry will adapt. I think it always has. And I think we just have to keep an eye on it and see what's working and what doesn't and be flexible. And, I begged for a month between a fabric collection landing and talking about a new one. I begged for that month, but I can't get it. It doesn't work, So it's super tricky, but all you can really do is sort of put stuff out there. It's up to people what they do with it. I think that's I very much control my personal world, but I have zero interest in controlling anybody else's. And so here's what I do. This is what I got to work with. Do what you will with it. That's not up to me, And so I take a lot of, I spend a lot of time, keeping myself aware of the things that are in my control, the things that are out of my control. It's I love being in control of the things I can be in control of, but I equally love giving up control with the things that are not mine to control. I'm really excellent at being that's not for me to manage.
So that was the chat with Tula Pink. And like I said, it does just end there. We could have talked for ages more. I wish that I'd written down all the questions I'd been thinking about because I got so flustered at the fact that she was happy to stick around that I really didn't delve into any of the more obscure stuff that I often think about when I work with her fabric. But she was just so generous with her time, and I think you'll appreciate just how service orientated she is, how much she appreciates you, the quilter, the person who purchases her fabric, the person who supports her. Even if you don't purchase her fabrics or her tools or whatever, just the fact that you do what you do. And I think that's a really lovely way to approach what we all do. We might not use the same fabrics. We might not use the same techniques. We might not like the same stuff or make the same type of quilts, but essentially we're all quilters, just like we're all humans. And so it's a really lovely reminder that we are united by more similarities than differences. And so I went away from this conversation with such a lovely reminder of just how special we are as people and as a human race. And again, like I said, this conversation was a big catalyst for me to make some massive changes. It dawned on me after this conversation that I don't have that passion anymore for running a business. I am at a point in my life where I am about, my interests have just changed and the needs that I have in a job have changed. And so while I love quilting and I still love fabric and order fabric and make quilts and will be releasing quilt patterns and doing stuff, I'm moving it back into being a hobby over a primary income source. So that was really scary and really liberating at the same time. And if it hadn't been for listening to someone else talk about their business and for appreciating the level of service that is focused in their business, I wouldn't have realized that I've changed in how I used to approach things versus how I now approach things. And, you know, that happens. That's what life is. Life is a journey and an evolution. And so I'm very grateful for this conversation. 2 days after I had this conversation, I enrolled back at university and started on my double degree. And so it was a big catalyst for that. It wasn't the reason for that. It was just something that kind of solidified what I had been skirting around. And so this conversation was special to me already, and now it's even more important. And I think I will still be here as I can, talking to people about creating and making, but it's a hobby now, and it's not a business. And I'm looking forward to moving back into that hobby space a little bit more, which I've been sewing recently with Tula fabric because I just can't help myself, and just really enjoying that process of making without the pressure of having to release the pattern and being on social media and marketing and all of that sort of stuff. I've realized that I'd actually really like to teach in academics and at a university level. And so that's what I've been working on. And I think I would like to take that same passion and excitement and focus on others that Tula and her brother and their team bring to what they do. And I think if you are not a fan of Tula fabric, I totally get that, each to their own. But you cannot deny that the team that works behind that brand are good for our industry, are focused on what is best for our industry, and prioritize you, the creator, in everything they do. And I think that's amazing. That's a real blessing. And I suspect it's that same commonality of service approach and focus on the customer and the user that drives so many of the other high-performing fabric surface pattern designers that we have. And I think if you spoke to Kaif and you spoke to Anna Maria and Alison Glass and Giuseppe and all the other libs and, just all of them, they would all echo that same sentiment, that you are the reason that they get enjoyment out of what they do. And so that's a pretty special reminder that you as a creator, in the little area that you are occupying in this world, that it is important, and it is important that you make time to create and express yourself in this way. And so, that's a pretty big sentiment from someone who is pretty big in this industry. And I was really grateful for it. And so I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll forgive me for it taking so long to get out there, because Tula has just released her 20th anniversary collection, and it is legendary, both in name and nature. I'm excited to see what else she does. I'm excited to see how her business grows, and the relationship that she shares with her brother continues to evolve and grow and strengthen. And it's just, it's been a real blessing. And so, I hope you all enjoy it, and keep creating, keep making what you make, and I'll be back with the next one soon.
Thanks for listening to the Fussy Cutters podcast. Enjoyed listening? Why not subscribe so you'll never miss an episode? Did you know the quickest way to the heart of any podcaster is to leave a review or recommend the podcast to a friend? It's true, it is. Until next week, get out there and fondle that fabric.